Hey guys, welcome to the show. Thank you for taking a few minutes to hang out with us. We love doing this. This is our hobby. We love getting up here and just talking sports, talking anything that comes to our minds, and just having a good time. This is our spring break edition. The kids are out having fun. We were doing a slip and slide in the yard today, just trying to have whatever fun we can have, just having a good time. Sadly, tonight I am flying solo. Hopefully, we'll get Chris back on here whenever he's able to. He's feeling good, just super busy as always, coming off Easter. It's just a really, really busy time. And hopefully we'll get back to that as soon as we can. But, I want to take a few minutes to talk about some recent news that's going on in the world of sports. So, of course, the big ticket item, as always, around everywhere is NFL. So we saw this week there was a big trade that went down between the Panthers and the Jets. So it's been speculated the Panthers were going to be looking at trying to possibly draft someone in this draft. They didn't seem like they were sold on Teddy Bridgewater. I'm not sure if we had enough of a sample size for them to be able to even say whether or not Teddy Bridgewater was the man to go with. He didn't have his best weapon the entire year, basically, with Christian McCaffrey just continually getting hurt. He had two different injuries during the year. Robbie Anderson was new. He did okay, but there wasn't much of an O-line in front of Teddy. But Matt Rule and the guys, and David Tepper, felt like they needed to make a change. They needed to make a swing for the fence. So they do that. They get the, embattled quarterback out of New York, Sam Darnold. They get him for a sixth rounder in this year's draft, a 2022 second round pick, and a 2022 fourth round pick. I had a few people that I texted to that are friends of mine that are big Panthers fans, and I was just curious what they thought because, in my opinion, they probably didn't pay a whole lot, but there were a lot of questions from the people that I talked to. I know I talked to a coworker of mine, and she's a big Panthers fan, and she was not overly ecstatic about it. She was kind of confused by the trade. You've already got a quarterback on hand who's making, 18 to $20 million a year. Why would you bring in someone else? Why would you trade for a guy that possibly sucks? That was another friend of mine said the exact same thing, that Darnold sucks. Why are we doing this? Bridgewater hasn't got enough of a chance. And then I talked to my buddy Keith, and I asked him what his thoughts was, and or thoughts were, I should say. And his first thought, I can't say on air. Let's just say there was a lot of questions, and but he says now that he thinks about it, and now that he gets into it, and he sees the details of it, the fact that they're only giving up a second rounder next year, that doesn't seem like a big cost, not for possibly a starting caliber quarterback. I mean, the guy was drafted third overall a couple years ago. So this sounds like it could be a genius move by their general manager. Um, and hey, like you said here, and if it doesn't work, you tried it out. And then you can draft a quarterback very soon after that, and you've barely lost any money. So I know that the Panthers have opened the door and told Teddy Bridgewater and his team that they can go ahead and start looking for trade partners to possibly move on. That's an understandable move. They're trying to figure out how to get rid of that $18 million contract, whereas they're also trying to see if they can get something in compensation. Teddy's trying to find a place where he can probably start because it seems like the door has just been shut on him. I kind of feel bad for him. The best place he could probably end up would be back in New Orleans, but there's no way that New Orleans could afford his contract. So New Orleans is probably hoping that he gets cut to then further make that quarterback room down in New Orleans crazier. But this looks like it could possibly be, Sam Darnold's team for the next year or two, depending on what they can do. Now, this also maybe settles a few things as far as what's happening in the draft this year. So obviously we're not going to spend a ton of time on it this week, but we are going to do something about it very next few weeks. We're going to probably do some mock drafts, and eventually Chris and I will probably put some sort of wager down like we always do to see who can get the most picks right and have some fun with that. But so it probably makes sense now that Trevor Lawrence is definitely going to go one. I know that's not a shock to anyone, but now that the Jets have made this trade, it appears to be that Zach Wilson is probably going to be the number 2 pick, unless the Jets have been playing some sort of amazing smokescreen of a game this entire time, and they're going to draft somebody like Fields. It appears to be that they're definitely taking a quarterback with the second overall pick. So then we get to San Francisco, who just made that major trade about a week or two ago now. where they have traded up to the third spot from 12 to 3. They've traded with Miami. So it appears they're definitely taking a quarterback. So then the question becomes, what is San Francisco going to do? Are they going to take Justin Fields, which, arguably is the best guy out there behind Lawrence, or maybe behind Wilson, depending on what draft analysts you hear from? Are they going to do something crazy like trade all the way from 12 to 3 to get Mac Jones? That's been the rumor as of late, as Kyle Shanahan can make any quarterback look good. And for some reason, he really, really, really likes Mac Jones. Everybody keeps saying over and over again that the Alabama quarterbacks are overrated because of the amount of talent that is around him, thanks to, AJ McCarron and others, maybe Tua and Jalen Hurts can rewrite that, and that can start being not being an issue anymore. But then what is San Francisco going to do? Fields or Mac Jones? Let's see. I mean, they're not even talking about Trey Lance for some reason going to San Francisco. Then the question becomes, what will Atlanta do? Atlanta with the 4th overall pick. There have been rumors that Atlanta might be willing to move off that 4th overall pick, trade with somebody who's quarterback hungry. I don't know, like my Patriots. And maybe they're willing to trade off that spot, trade back, and see if they can, stash away some assets and make a better run, one last run or so for Matt Ryan to end his career. Or do they take a flyer? Do they draft a Trey Lance and let him sit for a year or two behind Matt Ryan until that contract that Matt Ryan has is, palatable to be able to get rid of? That is the question for them. What are they going to do when it comes to that? And I for one, am very excited to see this. I'm hoping that my team will make a run at a quarterback. I don't believe Newton is the long-term answer. I don't believe he's even possibly the short-term solution after the way we saw him throw last year. But maybe re-solidifying that line as they've tried to do from the outside going in, maybe bringing in some skilled weapons as far as tight ends and maybe a few new receivers. Maybe that opens things up for Cam. And possibly if Belichick decides to get crazy and do something, rational for once, instead of ignoring what his scouts say when they say you should have drafted Debo Samuel or AJ Brown, and then you draft somebody named N'Keal Harry, who we've basically not even seen on the field yet. I mean, I know he's been there, but hasn't really done much. So I'm hoping that we can get something. As Bob Kraft said, hopefully that Belichick is approaching this draft differently than he's done anything else. That is the hope. But other big news this week. So obviously we saw the national championship game Monday night. Man, I honestly had Gonzaga winning it. I thought they were going to have the dream season, go completely undefeated, and they were going to take it and walk away and run away and have an amazing, historic run. This was going to be the crown on Mark Few's great coaching career. But instead, Scott Drew and the Baylor Bears, they put a whooping on them from the tip. I mean, jumped on them from the tip. The style of play they had was amazing. In a sense, it kind of reminded me somewhat of how Rick Pitino and how he's just the constant press and the constant in-your-face style of defense. They play together as a team incredibly well, even through foul trouble. They're both all 3 centers got in major foul trouble in the first half and even more in the third half. I mean, not third half, second half. That is the dumbest thing I've probably ever said. But they in the second half, where one center fouled out, the next one was on the edge. He had 4 fouls, and they were running a guy who was like 6'5" and vital, playing center most of the time. And did he play? Just an amazing ability at 6'5", like Charles Barkley, being able to just be there wherever the ball's coming down. He just had his position already there and just did an amazing job. But shout out to them for doing an amazing job with the way they played from the tip. That is exactly the style of play that I wish my team would pick up and grab a hold of and run with. And speaking of my team, I had to take a few days and a little bit of time to digest it and kind of work through it. I'm a huge Carolina Tar Heel fan, and everybody knows the news at this point. The fact on April 1st, April Fool's Day, everybody thought it was a joke. Roy Williams retires. He retires last week, and I hate it. I won't sit here and pretend that I didn't have a lot of questions, a lot of frustrations for how things were going as far as the last few seasons, how I felt things were being coached. In a manner of speaking, I felt like Carolina was running somewhat of an archaic style with the two. I'm not necessarily saying that having 2 big men is a bad thing, but everybody knows the plays. They've been running the same place since Dean Smith. And so I was kind of a little bit frustrated. I wish we kind of update some things and maybe do some new things and put some new ideas out there. But what I was not expecting, what I was not ready for, was for Roy to retire, and the manner and fashion that he did. Just feeling like he was no longer the man for the job, being, just kind of seeing. I don't want to say the writing on the wall, because I don't think that's fair to Coach Williams, because he's done an amazing job. I mean, absolutely a Hall of Fame career, over 900 wins and 3 national titles at Carolina. I know all 900 weren't there, but I mean, from Kansas to Carolina, I mean, he did an amazing job. So I didn't think it's not really fair to say something like, uh, he couldn't do the job, because he was obviously doing a pretty good job. But it's been a rough couple years. I know the last year, or year before last, I should say, they weren't going to make the NCAA tournament, but COVID kind of erased that because it didn't exist. And then this year, it was, getting into the tournament, felt like they were going to get in by the skin of their teeth, but they played pretty decent on the way, all the way to the end. Would like to have seen better. And then we started seeing an exodus from campus. Walker Kessler decides that he wants to transfer out. Still doesn't make sense to me. There was no question in the world he was about to become the star of that interior. Garrison Brooks is graduating, Playtech's graduating. Were we going to be able to keep a hold of Caleb Love, RJ Davis, those guys? There were rumors upon rumors about things were going to go sideways on campus. And then Caleb Love decides he's going to return. And then Roy pops out the news that he is going to retire. So this has been just unbelievable whirlwind of a last week or two, from losing in the tournament in a fashion that we did not want to lose in, to Wisconsin, to then losing our coach, to losing a star player, to who knows what else is coming around the corner. Then the debate became who is going to be the coach. So there were rumor after rumor, maybe this guy, maybe that guy. And I know Carolina's affinity to keep things within the family. And maybe my absolute obsession with keeping things in the family isn't a big thing to me, because I didn't play at Carolina. I didn't attend Carolina. I wish I had, but just didn't have those options. Things worked out differently. But huge fan that I am, I was kind of concerned about whether or not staying in the family was the right decision. Obviously, Jerry Stackhouse has become a head coach now at Vanderbilt. He did an excellent job with the G League team, winning a title there and Coach of the Year there with the G League. Not an easy environment, considering players are in and out. Some players are truly committed. Some are, just using this as a stepping stone. What are you going to do? But he won a title there and did a good job. Now he's at Vanderbilt and has had a couple rough years, because let's just admit, it's Vanderbilt. Okay. They're not exactly a powerhouse when it comes to basketball, and definitely not since Kevin Stallings left there and left it in shambles. So they've been struggling. So Jerry's trying to build something there. His name was floated out there. Wes Miller over at UNC Greensboro, who's done an unbelievable job getting the team into the big dance and winning his conference about 2 or 3 times now in the past 10 years. He's doing a great job, but he's still young. He's 36 or so. And then there was rumors maybe Lavelle Moten, which I get it. He's a great guy, great character guy, unbelievable job that he's doing in Raleigh, but he's not even in the family. So that one kind of confused me. He was being brought up. Then there were the unbelievable far-fetched things. People were rumoring about maybe Brad Stevens being a guy that could come in, because he was having such an embattled time in Boston. He's trying to get that together. Would Brad Stevens be willing to come to, a top 5 job in the country with, Carolina basketball? But they went another direction, a direction that was speculated many years ago when he was hired on as assistant coach, but I didn't really think it was going to be an option this time, after Bubba Cunningham's comments that he wanted someone with head coaching experience. But the team has decided to hire Hubert Davis as the next head coach of the Carolina Tar Heels. My first reaction was very much disappointment and frustration. I'm not going to lie to you. I was in my head, I wanted to shoot for the moon, get a guy like Brad Stevens or somebody like that who showed he can do it at Butler, shows he can, pretty decent coach in Boston with that kind of talent, bringing him in. If he can recruit at Butler, he can definitely recruit at Carolina. But obviously that wasn't in the cards. Carolina decided to keep it in the family. I was kind of nervous, because I'm thinking, man, this is another Bill Guthridge all over again. Yeah, Guthridge coached okay for a couple of years there, but he could not recruit. So that is the concern that we have. But then you start seeing all of the players' responses. And this goes a long way with Carolina, the way that the community and all that they do. You start seeing the responses from former players, John Henson, or even guys that are currently there, Armando Baycott and Caleb Love and RJ Davis, and all of them screaming, well deserved. This is amazing. They're excited. Jawad Williams was on board. It's just one of those things where the Carolina family is so unique. I mean, I saw something the other day where it talked about how Carolina has not made a hire outside of the family, so to speak, either a current, a former player or a former assistant coach or something. They have not made a hire like that since like the 50s when they hired Frank McGuire, who won a title at Carolina. So I mean, they are definitely all about keeping in the family. Now it helps that Coach Dean Smith and Coach Roy Williams coached for so long that there weren't a lot of there wasn't much space in between except for Bill Guthridge and Matt Doherty. But I was kind of concerned. But seeing the reaction of everyone inside the family, everyone inside the locker room, everyone that's been a part of Hubert Davis and what he's done, seeing the reaction from them, it gives me hope. Seeing the fact that Styles and Dunn, that are the incoming freshmen, have decided they're going to stick with it because they're excited about Hubert Davis being there, that he's going to keep the same system and it's going to be what they wanted it to be when they signed up to play at Carolina. That, I think that is exciting, the fact that that is happening. Now, I will say I love the fact that in his introductory press conference, he makes a shot across the bow and he just puts it out there that he wants Walker Kessler back. And my goodness, do we need Walker Kessler? I am still waiting to hear what Armando Baycott's going to do. But with Brooks graduating, Sterling Manley has transferred. My God, even Walker Miller has left. With those guys being gone, with Walker Kessler saying he's going into the portal, I mean, we lost basically three big men and a walk on. So that leaves Baycott as like basically the lone big man still on the team. And what's he going to do? I can't imagine why he would not at least test the waters of the draft. I couldn't understand it unless he's just getting intel that's telling him that he's not ready and people aren't interested. But if he doesn't leave now, then he's probably going to end up being a 4-year player, which I would not be upset about. But I know that wasn't his goal. His goal was probably to leave last year with Cole Anthony, but it just didn't work out for him stat wise. So he thought he'd come back and work on it. He definitely improved, became a real powerhouse in the post, but the team just wasn't as good as they wanted. And quite frankly, with 4 big men, the minutes were kind of slim. So we definitely need Walker Kessler to be back. Is that going to happen? I hope so. I hope Hubert can work some magic there and use his relational skills to bring back Walker Kessler. Um, I'm kind of hoping that Hubert also makes a call to the guy who decommitted from Marquette, Jonas Aedu, or however you say his last name, out of Durham. I'm hoping that maybe they give him a call. He's a 6'11", 7-footer. If nothing else, so the rumor is that Carolina's his dream school. That I guess when he saw all these spots open up, he thought maybe if he decommitted, and obviously Marquette's had a transition now with Shaka Smart going there after they fired Steve Wojciechowski. Maybe he's hoping that Carolina will extend an offer, and God knows we could use some depth. Um, I mean, if we can offer guys like Desmond Hubert and people and Joel James, why can't we offer this kid out of Durham? I don't understand that. I don't understand why it hasn't already been done, but I guess that's just the transition of power between Roy and Hubert. Hopefully, Coach Davis will make some things happen soon, because we've definitely got some openings on the roster. But I will say that with Coach Hubert Davis taking over, I'm truly hoping we can see somewhat of an update in style as far as offense and defense. More, I'm hoping he can put some aggression in these guys. I will say that I feel like Coach K over in Durham does an amazing job. I don't know how he does it. I don't know if he's like giving these guys testosterone shots or something, but he does an amazing job of creating aggression out of his team. And I've just never felt that way about Carolina. It's not very often that Carolina feels like they're just truly aggressive, taking it to them. Um, that kind of style of play. And I'm hoping we can develop that. I'm hoping somebody at Carolina was watching the Baylor tape and seeing how they were doing things, and we kind of develop that more. Use Kerwin as a shooter, kind of like they did with Butler in the national championship. And uh, Caleb Love can start playing like the Mitchell guy from Baylor, just super aggressive on defense and unbelievably strong on offense. That is the hope, because that is definitely what we're going to need with everybody either graduating or transferring out or going to the draft or whatever. Losing Sharp was tough. The idea of having Sharp and Kessler going forward was going to be huge, but it's just not the way things are. Things are different these days. Guys don't stay as long. The transfer portal stays active. So I'm hoping Coach Davis can do something good and can put it all together. But look, that's what we've got for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed that. Whatever I was talking about for the last 15, 20 minutes or whatever it's been. I love doing it. This is just a hobby of mine. I love getting stuff out there. But let us know what you'd like to talk about. Let us know what you're hoping to see, what's coming up, who do you think is going to go where in the draft. Maybe we'll have a competition to see who can get the most picks right, and maybe the winner will get something. Who knows? We'll throw some stuff out there, but just let us know what you guys think, and we appreciate it as always.